Hi, I'm Mike, and today we're working on this 2001 Oldsmobile Alera with a 2.4 engine. And the problem that it's having a misfire code. It's PO304, so that cylinder number 4 is misfiring. I suspect that it's a fuel injector, and we're going to change it today. I'm going to show you how. The first step that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to relieve the fuel pressure, and the way I did that was I removed the fuel pump relay. If you look at this diagram, it's right here, it's number 18. So you just find it here in this location and just pull it out, crank it over, relieve the fuel pressure, and then you're good to go. Alright, the first step that I'm going to do is after I relieve the fuel pressure, I got to remove this air box and this the resonator. I got to remove this to get access to this fuel rail that's back here. So I'm going to go ahead and start by releasing this clamp here. Get that loosened up. And then there's also another clamp here that goes to the throttle body. It's a little hole here. I have the clamp right here. You can access it through this hole. Loosen that up. They're 8mm or 5/16. And we got these two 10mm bolts here. Let's take those off. Get that off. You're gonna see if you can finagle this guy off. And this thing should pretty much lift up a little bit. You got one hose down here that you gotta disconnect. That one appears to be a little tight. Get that out of the way. Alright, the next step is I'm gonna remove this plug here that goes to the fuel injector. And then I'm gonna release this vacuum hose that goes to the fuel pressure regulator. Just get it out of the way. It's got these locking tabs on there. You need to loosen those, back them out a little bit so you can get to the little lever and push it in and pull it out just like that. Do the same for the rest of them. Alright, the next step is I'm going to loosen up this fitting to the fuel rail. I'm going to hold this nut here while I back this one off. Just like that. When you loosen this up, a little fuel might come out. It may not, but it's a good idea to make sure that the engine is cool when you do this, because you don't want to ignite the gasoline. Next step is you're going to want to loosen these two 13mm bolts. There's one here and here. That's what secures this fuel rail to the block. So, get in there with your 13, crack it loose and back them out. This one's loose already. Alright, the next step is I'm going to remove this throttle linkage and this mounting plate here, or this bracket assembly from the throttle body. This cable, just pop it back up like this and slide it towards my way and it'll come out. And then this one here just got like a plastic clip that snaps onto this fitting here, and just pop it loose. Get that out of your way. There's two 10mm bolts here and one down there. You remove that and it should come out. So that's out of the way. Like so. Okay, the next step is, what I did already was I loosened this T30 bolt up that holds this bracket to this fuel rail assembly thing. And then there's also a 13mm bolt down here that holds the return line for the fuel. I'm going to get that one out. Like that. Taking this one out so it gives me more flexibility with this return line so I can finagle this thing apart. Alright, the next step is I'm going to try to remove this assembly from the engine and then separate this pressure regulator and this end line and this inlet fuel line. I believe that the only thing that's holding these two things in is just O-rings. So if I get it away from the vehicle, I might be able to spread it apart to get the injectors out. So I'm going to go ahead and try to wiggle this guy out a little bit. And see if I can get this thing to come apart. Okay, what I had to do is I had to loosen this T25 Torx screw that's facing up. I guess this little support bracket for a return line. So I loosened that up, and hopefully now I'm able to separate this from the fuel rail. I'm gonna give it a shot. Looks like it might. As it turns out, this bracket has to totally come off to get this assembly apart. So that's out. And I got this side out already. This side should just come out now. It's coming. Like that. Alright. So this is the bad suspect right here, this fuel injector. And it's held on with this little clip that kind of gets captured on there. So you just got to pry it off to get it off. These tabs. One on this side and then one on this side. Once you get that off, it should come off. There it is. Alright. Alright, I'm ready to install the new fuel injector now. What I did was I used a dipstick and I got a little oil on my finger here. And I'm going to lube up this O-ring to make the assembly go smoother. You can also use gasoline, which is very good too. And it's probably even better than this oil in this situation. But this was more convenient, so that's what we're using. So you want to get the orientation right. So in this position, the plug should be on this side. And what you want to do is you want to push it in. You want to be nice and square to the piece so you don't damage the O-ring, and twist it so it goes down like so until you lock it in. Make sure that both tabs are locked, and it looks like they are. Good to go. Also, I'm going to change these O-rings here, the ones that go to the block. I'm just going to use like a pick and get these old O-rings off. Just get it under there and lift it. Sorry if you damage it because you're changing it anyway. So, not a problem. Just take them all off. Clean it up good with parts brake cleaner. Lube up the new O-rings. Put them on. Then we're ready to reinstall in the vehicle. Alright, ready to reinstall this fuel rail back into the vehicle. First step is I'm going to start on this side with the return line. I lubed up all the O-rings already, so it should go well. Got that in. Alright, once you get those two tubes in on both sides, the next step is I'm going to reassemble this bracket here. Get it on there. It fits into this slot in this aluminum fuel rail. Work it up. This T30 screw goes through here. Goes onto there. And then this fuel clip here gets swung around. Goes on the bottom of the fuel rail to keep it from sliding down like that, and you tighten this T25, I believe it was. And that's it for that part. Alright, the next step is before I tighten these fittings here and these screws, I want to secure this to the block so that it's not moving as I'm tightening it, because I don't want to snap anything like the fuel injectors. So I'm going to go ahead and get these bolts back in. Get them started by hand. Alright, once you get that nut tightened, Go ahead and put your connectors back on. Put on the locking tab. Do the same for the remainder. Plug in this sensor here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put this throttle linkage back on. It's got 2 bolts, one in the front, one in the back. The one in the front's the long one. So just line it up, drop it in. One in the back, drop it in. Get it started by hand. Turn it down. Snug them up. Alright. And now I'm going to show you how these cables linkage connects to this piece here. Just lift it up like this and walk it into the side. There's a slot there. It's not the easiest thing to do, but get it started. Put the cable in and then snap it back in there. That one's good. This one just has this plastic clip that connects on here. Get it started. Give it a push. There it goes, the sun. Alright. It's easier if you, if this gets stuck on your throttle body, this piece here, it's easier to reattach it to this resonator box and then assemble it. It just makes it easier. So you want to orientate this so that you can get to this screw here from this hole. So it's got to fit in between, it's got to fit in here. So you just got to get it on there. Get it started. Like that. Position it so you can get to that screw, just like that. And then we gotta reattach this hose to here, which can be tricky at times. Get it under the best you can. Sometimes I use these pliers. They're like hose grip pliers. They help a lot in these type of situations. So I can reach under here. Might not be able to see on the camera, but what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing it instead of using my hand and walking it on. Makes it go on a little easier. Also make sure that it's, the other end of the hose is still on. Yeah, it looks like it is. So once you get that on, go ahead and position this over the throttle body. Like that. Alright, feels like it's on. Once you get that on, put your 2 screws in, reattach this snorkel tube to the resonator box, plug in your fuel pressure regulator vacuum hose, double check that you got everything tightened down, put your fuel pump back in, the fuel pump relay actually, put that back in, and then I'll let you know what to do next. Okay, after you reassembled everything, got your fuel pump relay back in, and you double check that you got everything tightened and secure. What you're going to want to do is put the key in the ignition and put it in a run position, but don't start it. Let the fuel pump cycle, let the fuel pressure build, turn it off, and then go ahead and crank it. It should start. And let it run for a few seconds and kill it. Come out here and check for leaks. Make sure there's no leaks. And if there's no leaks, it's job well done.